it's almost like if you take it away from them, that you're personally injuring them some way. When most of the time, all it is that, look, I just want to free you. I want to free you from the chains of bondage that are holding you down, that are the mainstream media or whatever the case may be, that have you trapped in this mindset that has nothing to do in regards to being a basis in reality. Yes, it has nothing to do with reality whatsoever. You're just programmed, and you're so programmed that you don't want to let go of the programming. Like I said, that would be like the Florence Nightingale syndrome. I'm not sure if that's correct. If I'm thinking of the right syndrome. If I'm not, please correct me. I welcome correction on that. But what I'm thinking about, the syndrome that I'm thinking about, I do think I'm incorrect on that. So I do apologize. But the syndrome that I'm thinking about is where you start to sympathize with your captors, whatever that's called. I can't really remember what it is right now. But there's a name for it. But you know what I'm talking about. Where a kidnapped victim will sympathize with their captors to the point to where when you remove that victim from their captors, that they'll freak out, they'll lose their minds, and they'll defend, and they'll kick, and they'll scream, and they'll bite, and they'll fight to the death on behalf of their captor, because they've been so brainwashed over an extended period of time, and that's pretty much what it is right now. You have so many people that are holding to these truths, or what they believe to be truths, because they've been brainwashed by their captors. And when you try to shake them from that and you present facts, those pesky facts, they lose it. They lose their minds. And that's when they'll start to throw out insults and get all hot and bothered and scream and rave and rant, and that's when you know that you struck a chord, because on a subconscious level they know that you're right. So that's enough on that. So I just thought that was pretty interesting. Another article here that I thought was pretty interesting, which comes to you from Infowars.com. Which I like Infowars. I'm a pretty big fan of Alex Jones and Infowars. I know sometimes it can be a little bit verbose and sensational, but for the most part, it's pretty well on point for as far as having the most accurate information. I believe you get that more than anything else from Drudge Report. I'm a big advocate of alternative media. Big reason why I do what I do. But another really good source is Infowars.com, and there's a really interesting article there. Virologist, it's too late. Ebola will kill 5 million. That's some pretty scary stuff there. Expert says virus will infect entire population of African countries. A top German virologist has caused shockwaves by asserting that it's too late to halt the spread of Ebola in Sierra Leone and Liberia, and that 5 million people will die, noting that efforts should now be focused on stopping the transmission of the virus to other countries. Jonas Schmidt-Chancet of the Bernhard Nocht Institute for Tropical Medicine in Hamburg told Germany's Deutsche Welle that hope is all but lost for the inhabitants of Sierra Leone and Liberia, and that the virus will only burn itself out when it has infected the entire population and killed 5 million people. The right time to get this epidemic under control in these countries has been missed, said Schmidt-Chancet. That time was May and June. Now it's too late. The current Ebola outbreak in West Africa has killed over 2,200 people, with Liberia and Sierra Leone accounting for over 1,700 of those fatalities. While calling for massive help from the international community to prevent Ebola appearing in other countries like Nigeria, Senegal, Schmidt-Chancet warns that getting a grip on the epidemic in Liberia and Sierra Leone is a departure from reality. So that's some frightening stuff. And then when you look at an article that I read the other day where they said that right now it's about a 5% chance that Ebola will start to spread within the United States as it stands right now, but then within the next 2 to 3 months, I believe that percentage is going to rise to about 15. That's some pretty frightening stuff. And right now, they said, I think that in the article, that it's about 20 to 25% that it'll start spreading in the UK within the next 2 to 3 months. Yeah, all frightening things. And then when you consider the fact that they're flying in doctors who were infected with the disease into the country, obviously it only increases our chances of it spreading here. So, I'm not a big fear monger or things like that, but I do like to bring this kind of stuff to your attention because it's important to know. I'm not a big doomsday prepper advocate, proponent myself or anything like that, but I do believe that to a certain degree you should be prepared, at least to a bare minimum, for any given situation. My philosophy is it's better to have it not need it than to need it not have it. You can't prepare for everything. Things are just going to happen. There's nothing you can do about it. Things are going to happen that you can't expect unless you've got millions and millions and millions of dollars. There's really no way for you to protect against any given scenario. But you should, as a responsible individual, especially if you have a family, to have some kind of preparedness to a bare minimum. Whether it be masks and gloves and sanitizer, to some kind of food, maybe a couple boxes of MREs, and certainly some kind of weapon, because when there is some kind of societal collapse, which is inevitable because the average society lasts about 200 years historically, and the United States is well over 200 years old now. You have to take those type of things into consideration, and obviously if things continue on their present course, then eventually there will be a collapse of some kind. And it's important to be prepared, at least to a bare minimum. Does that mean that you'll be able to stockpile enough weapons and build enough doom guy, but I do think it's wise to at least have some kind of a preparation. And when I read articles about Ebola and things of that nature, then it does remind me that we should, as preparedness to a certain degree, at least to be able to either protect your family in the event of looting or violence of some kind, and also to be able to get out of Dodge. So that's it on that point. I also wanted to talk a little bit about two different things really, and hopefully I'll have enough time to kind of gloss over them at this point. But one being a subject that's kind of near and dear to my heart, if that's how you want to say it, which is the obvious poisoning of our food and water supplies. Look, if you can, please take care of your family. I know you have to eat. I know you have to drink. I know you have a family you have to take care of. You have jobs. You have things you have to worry about. But look, the bottom line is, if you know anything about organizations like Monsanto, which produces and distributes over 95% of our food, not only here in the country but across the world, who also genetically modifies that food, and they also create all kinds of horrible things like poisons and insecticides. They were the creators of Agent Orange, and these are the people who create our food. Obviously, that's something to be concerned about, something to consider. And something that's potentially dangerous. Obviously, they are a nefarious organization, and you want to try and stay as far away from that stuff as possible. So if you have the opportunity and the means to be able to eat organic, maybe even grow your own food, I highly recommend that. Just try to stay away from genetically modified organisms, GMO foods and crops. Obviously, there's something wrong with it if they're fighting so hard to not have to label it in the food that they create. We're talking about millions and millions of dollars that they're paying out in court costs for lawyers and things of that nature in order to not have to label it. So obviously they're hiding something. You know how I feel about fluoride. Recent Harvard study, look at it for yourself. 2 separate studies reveals that fluoride lowers your IQ, especially in children. So, as my friend Joseph would say, don't chase that fluoride dragon. Fluoride, some of the negative effects include, bone cancer, lowered IQ, dental fluorosis, memory loss. I mean, the list goes on and on. You can look it up for yourself. I'm not even going to bother going on and on about it. You look it up for yourself. You can see it's horrible. Bisphenol A, which is the chemicals and plastics that leaches into your food and water, lowers your hormone levels, and if you're a woman, it raises your estrogen levels. If you're a man, it lowers your testosterone. It also potentially causes cancer. Just horrible stuff there. It's found inside the lining of cans, as well as most plastics, and it just leaches into your food and water. Horrible stuff, so avoid it if you can. Try to find stuff that's BPA free. Then you have aspartame, which is found in most sugar-free items, like diet soda and things of that nature. It's an artificial sweetener that causes all kinds of really horrible side effects, of course, ingested on a large in large quantity, but even in small quantity, nobody really knows what the effects would be. But the bottom line that I wanted to bring up about that is that, look, I know it sounds crazy, but it's obviously true if you take a step back and look at it. All of this stuff is intentional. It's done intentionally. It's there to kill us off. It's there to dumb us down. They don't want a strong, intelligent, large populace to fight them off when they drop the hammer. That's just the way that it is. Believe it, don't believe it. Look, at the end of the day, if you don't want to believe it, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm just here to bring you the information. Do with it what you will. I love you, and I want you to be safe, and I want your family to be safe. And the more of us who are aware, because the bottom line is we may not be able to stop it when the hammer drops, but the more of us that are aware are the more of us that can do something later on afterwards to try to build everything back up, or hopefully stop it in its path. If there's enough of us that are awake and informed, then maybe, hopefully, God willing, we can stop it before it starts. And that's going to begin with education. That's going to begin with knowing, instead of just hearing what I have to say and just blowing it off as, oh, here's just another conspiracy nut with conspiracy theories. Hear what I'm saying, listen to it, and look it up for yourself. Research it, and I think you might be surprised by what you see. And the more of us that are awake, that are critical thinkers, that take the time to find out the information and learn for ourselves, instead of just accepting the information that's spoon-fed to us by the mainstream media, the more of us that are going to be strong and well-informed and be intelligent enough to know that it's time to fight, that it's time to stand up and say no to the status quo. I'm not going to go along with your lies, and we can start to break down this false left-right paradigm and get a third party in office that's going to really genuinely look out for our needs and our best interests, and isn't going to be beholden to the foreign bank cartel and the Federal Reserve, and that's really going to put us out of things. Obviously, I'm talking about a libertarian president in office, and somebody who's just not a puppet who goes along with the false left-right paradigm. It's all a joke, it's all a hoax, it means absolutely nothing, and until we wake up to that, everything is going to be exactly the same. Expect nothing different. That's pretty much it for my rant. It looks like I'm out of time here, so I do appreciate you guys listening, and I do apologize for dragging it out with a bunch of commercials and stuff, but that was kind of a necessary evil, and you won't have to worry about that in the upcoming future episodes, where it'll be about an hour and a half or hour and a half plus long. So we're looking forward to that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. Once again, please continue to tune in and spread the word, most importantly, and please remember to click follow on our Spreaker profile. The more followers we get, the more advertising we can get, and the more listeners and the more people we can wake up. Thank you so much for listening. God bless each and every one of you. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Good night.